Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. How are my peeps doing? We are kind of just starting. The first one in the house today. Patrick Magner says, meow. Patrick is here from Houston, Texas. We also have in the house Yvette Avery Herod. Yvette Avery Herod is from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome to our our most well-known union activist who actually gets results. Remember, they got a good deal, even though she expects more. But we get it, baby. We get it. And we have Paul Fleming in the house. Paul Fleming is from Powder Springs, Georgia. Welcome aboard, Paul Fleming. Great to have you in the house. We also have Jay Ray from Houston, Texas. Says, greetings to the PDR posse. Come on, folks in the chat. Where are you? Where are you? I am still waiting. Paul says, President Trump has halted federal funding for our communities to cater to his billionaire friends, cutting off critical services for families and driving up costs across the board. Meanwhile, the House GOP is cheering him on. It's a golden age for the richest, but a dark age for rich people. And don't forget what the unelected president, Elon Musk, said. He said the American people are going to have to feel pain, even as the wealthy continues to build their fortune and build their fortune and build their fortune. On whose back? On your back. Don't you forget it. There isn't a billionaire who has not built their fortune on your back, whether they are a benevolent billionaire or a malevolent billionaire. All of the tenets of our economic system is to keep people enslaved. As Dr. Wolf points it out, we had feudalism, we moved into slavery, and then capitalism. But they all follow the same relationship between those who acquire wealth and those who make the wealth for those who acquired said wealth. And until we understand our worth, until we realize who we are, until we realize that it is us that should get the spoils from what we create, from everything that we give, until we realize we are the ones responsible for this country's success, not the billionaire, then they will continue to stick it to us. Then, of course, today, what did Donald Trump do? Well, let's go ahead and start with that one. Robert Reich wrote the piece, and he points out in no uncertain terms, friends, apologies for interrupting, but this is important. As of 5 p.m. today, Trump will halt tens of billions of dollars in federal spending. Although Social Security, Medicare, and other payments to individuals, meaning if you get a check, direct deposit, or otherwise, that won't be affected. Grants, loan spending to research, charities, universities, community projects, climate infrastructure, foreign aid, and so on. I'm getting reports of problems with Medicaid payment systems and the online. Of course, they just came out and said, oh, no, the Medicaid problem is not real. It's not real. You can get your Medicaid money, states. You can go ahead and pull it. It's just a glitch in the system. Of course, the glitch occurred after they said they're going to stop paying, right? Officials then have until February 10th to report to the Office of Management and Budget. By then, the OMB will likely be run Russ Vought, Trump's nominee, and not incidentally, the chief author of what? Project 2025. As we were talking about Project 2025, we had some of our brothers and sisters from MAGA in this chat room saying, Trump said MAGA, that Project 2025, he has nothing to do with it and he has no intentions of implementing it. Of course, now, all the folks that Trump is putting into positions of power are like, I forgot the author of Project 2025, right? Isn't that right? Think about who is going to OMB. OMB is going by, I can't remember his name right now, but run by Project 2025. So again, it goes on and on and on and on and on. The scale of Trump's order is widely, and let me put some of this on the screen. The Trump's order is wide, right? It cites federal spending totaling about $3 trillion and argues that federal spending must be aligned with presidential priorities while reviews are undertaken. Ridiculous! These laws have already been passed and signed by a president, so you can't say that these laws now need to abide by presidential order when they have already been passed and signed. Again, he's testing his constitutional prowess. Let's see what the Supreme Court does when it receives all of this. But we have to put the pressure on. And folks, as our brother Patrick Magner has said, we are eventually going to have to hit the streets. We eventually are going to have to hit the streets. Okay? So anyway, folks, continue. Last week, Trump barred certain spending he disregarded, with including programs involving diversity, equity, and inclusion. He also stopped spending, folks, with HIV, etc., which is something that I'm going to cover in a little bit. But again, all in all, the president is trying to execute. He's trying to use all these different orders, right? The idea behind all these executive orders is to tell Americans, I can, and I am going to increase the power of the presidency, just like they've increased the power of the presidency to start wars. Well, not really, right? But they do, because the Congress has not asserted their prowess over that, right? So it is time, folks. It is time. It is time. Before I go to my next video, Egberto, Willies, just a quick rundown screen. Okay, let's go ahead to Bridge MCP, because if Bridge writes it, we must go ahead and place it. All right, Bridge, here is the screen for you. And it says as follows: Trump just ordered a federal spending freeze, Medicaid, school breakfast lunch program, Section 8 rental assistance, Title I education grants, TANF, temporary assistance for needed families, state grants for child care, Head Start, the special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children, Department of Housing and Urban Development's community development block grant, and EPA grants and infrastructure. And I imagine it covers a lot more. So, folks, the guy has just come in, and look, this is shock and awe, right? He wants to do so much that he confuses you into what do I tackle, what do I take to the Supreme Court, what do we charge, what do we fight about? It is about throwing everything at you with the expectation that you can't fight them all. But he doesn't know what he's messing with. We've got to fight it all. Russell Vaught, thank you very much, my brother. Russell Vaught is the name of the new OMB, or will be the OMB director. Let's see. So we have got to remember. Let's see. Lee the Bearcat says previous administration had spending agendas, right, like climate, etc., and use executive orders. So isn't the current one doing the same? No, it's not. It's completely different. Completely different. These are expenditures that were dictated how they should be spent by Congress, not how they are to be implemented. The things that Biden did was, well, the implementation of this could be done X, Y, and Z. There was no instruction on implementation, and as such, an executive order could do that. But when we have something like Head Start, that money is directed towards programs. It had no deep DEI dependency or anything of that sort at all. Paul Fleming points out, our renowned journalist Jim Acosta has quit CNN on live broadcast. His final message: it is never a good time to bow down to a tyrant. Don't give in to the lies. I love that. I'm going to try to get Acosta. I don't know if he's going to want to give any interviews to third parties right now, because I don't know what kind of negotiations he had for his exit. So we'll see. But you know what? He's one of the few people that stood up to the thug in chief. He's one of the few that did. And that is something that we have to watch. Anyway, folks, I have 3 cuts today that came from my program this morning. And what I want to do is I'm going to start with the first one, which was a caller into my show today. This guy was a MAGA caller, but it's a MAGA caller I respected, because after we had our exchange, it was clear that he was left speechless because he didn't think he could call and have an interchange like this. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let me go ahead and prepare that, and here we go.
Let's talk about the HIV, what Trump has done with the HIV testing now. And let me pull up the article that I really, really want to get to. Trump pauses disbursement to programs supplying HIV treatment worldwide. The Trump administration has halted disbursement of funds from a program that supplies most of treatment for HIV in Africa and developing countries worldwide for at least 90 days. The action stems from President Trump's executive order on foreign aid, which directs all government divisions with foreign development assistance programs to stop dispersing funds to countries and organizations until they can be reviewed. That includes the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, known as PEPFAR, a $7.5 billion program overseen by the State Department officials, were told in a memo Wednesday obtained by the New York Times. In a separate directive on Friday, also viewed by the Times, officials were informed that although the initial review of foreign aid is intended to be completed within 85 days, final decisions might take up to 180 days. All right, let's pause for a minute. Let's talk about why COVID-19 was as bad as it was. Leadership. I repeat, leadership. The government knew about COVID-19 months before we knew about it. We knew that there was a disease going around, an airborne disease going around for some time. But we figured, not we, the Trump administration figured if they're quiet about it, it'll just go away. Again, this is what happens when you have a government or the leadership in government who is not only not science-based, but is not, I don't want to say smart enough, but simply refuses to accept science. Now, when COVID came about, there are a lot of things that good leadership could have done to prevent the millions of people who died. A lot of things that they could have done. We knew that the genesis of this pandemic, it wasn't a pandemic then, we knew the genesis of these infections were coming in from China, coming in from that area of the world. We had the opportunity here to start taking preventative measures. And, many people attempted and tried to do these preventative measures, wear masks, do all kinds of things that other countries did to mitigate the spread of this disease. But America, the richest countries, purportedly the smartest country, purportedly the most advanced countries, we had internal fights. Science versus stupidity. Science versus ignorance. And ignorance won for a very long time. And now we have a new Trump administration, and we have two things. Just a week into the administration, and he has done two things that puts our health and could potentially create another crisis. One, communication at the national NIH is forbidden. They cannot have interdepartmental communications or communications with the outside world about what's going on. And we know we're having a very serious infection with birds right now. Very serious infection with birds that have jumped to many different animals, squirrels, cows, birds, chickens, ducks, and 80-something Americans have already died of being infected from animal to human transition. Now they're talking about, well, we don't know if it transmits between humans and humans yet. But our departments are right now on hiatus. They can't communicate among each other. Why not? Edict from the Fuhrer, edict from Donald Trump. Nothing based on science, but his departments with knowledge cannot speak. Chaos in these departments. Now, HIV, these programs that that are preventative around the world. America is saying, we want the rest of the world uninfected, not infected or unable to spread the disease. So what do we want to do? Whether you're a poor country or not, we want to make sure that we can fight HIV wherever HIV is. You know why? Americans travel all over the world. And you know, Americans have a whole lot of fun all over the world. And so we want all over the world to be safe because Americans as well. We should, from a moral and a humanity standpoint, we should want the entire world to be safe. But if you want to look at it from a perspective of selfishness, self-saving, we want to make sure that where Americans go, they're safe. But no, Trump says, we're thinking about cutting all these programs, including some of the programs where we help people not get HIV or help people control HIV. Folks, this is what we elected. It's not like we haven't seen this game before. Donald Trump caused an excess of over 400,000 Americans to die because of his incompetence. We have a derelict media that because they hadn't informed Americans of how derelict their president was, who continued to make Americans die, Americans quite didn't realize how much fault should have gone to the president for the killing that occurred in America. We had silly fights about whether masks work or not. We had adjacent counties in Kansas that were test cases, where we had a county that it put mask requirements on, and we had counties that had laissez-faire. You could do as you please. And the death rates in the laissez-faire counties were through the roof, and the death rates in the counties where masks were required actually had declined in infections. Not only that, we knew that the people that listened to the right-wing stations died at a much higher rate than the people who didn't. The people who took precautions lived, the people who didn't died. These are statements of facts that our derelict media should have been out there making sure people know that this wasn't conjecture. This was fact. Look at your dead neighbors, and we are running the risk of living through this one more time.
All right. Like I tell you all the time that I don't promote or let the right wing folk influence a lot of what we talk about because we won't waste a lot of time on nonsense. But I want to waste some time on critical thinking. From something that Eric Hayes has said. But before I do that, let me put on the screen something from the one and only Bridge MCP about DEI. And I'm going to screen it right now. And it says the following. DEI only existed because white people were racist. They had the opportunity to hire based on merit, and they hired their unqualified white friends every time. DEI isn't racism. It's a solution to historical racism. Thank you for that, Bridge MCP. When we allow them to frame the argument that somehow DEI is giving people of color an advantage instead of being the solution to people that were inherently racist, we put the onus on people of color. This onus of DEI should not be on the people of color. It should be on why DEI exists in the first place. My sister, Bridge MCP, thank you for redirecting that discussion. Because again, just like we have made the discussion about women serving in the army, or about Pete Hegseth's qualification, whether about women, as opposed to him being ultimately unqualified for the job, we made it about women in the hearings. Thank you, Bridge. That's a good change of where we centralize. Very important. And of course, from Radnin, he brings up a joke that is worth talking about. Since Donald Trump has been in office, the price of gas has gone up. The price of eggs has gone up. We thought that just the mere fact that Donald Trump is there, that things would just go great because of the power of his character. The plutocracy, look, Richard Wolff, the economist, makes an important point. Companies have the choice to raise prices or not. Companies have that choice. They decide if they want profits to be higher, stay the same, or temporarily lose profit in order to be a moral American, right? They have that choice. They always make the first choice. More money, okay? Now, here's from Brother Rudnin. Under Biden, let's go, Brandon. Why is egg so dang expensive at $3.75 a dozen? Under Trump, the cost of eggs is a complex interplay between inflation and other factors like bird flu, of which the president has little control. Econ 101. Well, then Econ 101 apply under Biden as well? I think so. But what you find is a MAGA that has no sense of consistency, morality, or critical thought or thinking. And I don't say that to be insulting. I'm saying that just based on the results. Now, as an example, let's look at our brother. And I love my brother, Eric Hayes, but he simply has a severe lack of the critical thinking process. And let me explain what I'm saying now. He said the following. The last narrative was about how Donald Trump handled COVID and what he did to solve the COVID issue, right? How Donald Trump solved COVID or how he handled it has nothing to do with where it came from. We can decide later on and try to figure out where it came from so that we can mitigate that problem, right? But the immediacy for a leader, for a president, should be, how do we stop our people from dying? How do we stop our people from dying? How do we make sure they don't get sick? Eric says COVID was due to the lab and gain of function by our government and Fauci. Who cares? What we want is our people not dying. And for that to occur, you have to follow science. And to follow science and how things work, you have to critically think. And if you see that in one county that follows the rules, less people die, and the other county that doesn't follow the rule, a lot of people die, you know the answer. Likewise, if you see that a lot more Republicans are dying than Democrats because one follows a set of rules and the other doesn't, it should tell you something. A lot of my friends said survival of the fittest. They were kind of saying, well, if they want to die, let them die. But I reminded my friends that we are the progressives are the folks who believe in humanity. And even if our brethren don't want to critically think, it is our responsibility to help. It is our responsibility never to just let them die. Okay? Radin, I'll take up your stuff in a little bit, but I want to, in that light, I want to show, I played the wrong video previously. I played the one that I didn't want to play first, but this is the one I want to play first, and it's based on how a MAGA caller responded to me today. Was in shock, but it's clear that if we follow certain methodologies, we actually can talk to reasonable right-wingers. That's why I wrote the book, and here's the book. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relative friends and neighbors. Yes, I'm hawking my book because I need to get subscriptions and book sales to pay the bills, to keep this stuff going, to keep our internet going, to keep our lights going, to keep all these things going. So, yep, that is why I wrote the book. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relative friends and neighbors, which you can get at politicsandright.com/books, politicsandright.com/books. Here we go. Here's a caller this morning. Check a listen, and then we'll take it on the other side. All right, folks. I'm glad that John or Bruce earlier brought up cryptocurrency and I'm glad I get a little bit of time to speak about it. Trump's cryptocurrency scam threatens the economy and his own power. This is by Robert Reich. As of Friday, the Trump cryptocurrency meme coins, the dollar sign Trump and the dollar sign Melania cryptocurrency coins had a combined market value of $6 billion. I repeat, out of thin air, Donald Trump created a cryptocurrency in his name and in Melania's name, and the value of that non-existent currency has given Trump and Melania immediately $6 billion. What did they do for that? How did they make that money? Doing nothing. They just said, I have a crypto dollar and in my name and Melania's name. And that cryptocurrency, that imaginary money has given me $6 billion. As you all know, Donald, one of the reasons that these cryptocurrency guys are going up to Donald Trump is, by the way, folks, cryptocurrency is backed by nothing. Okay, it's a computer algorithm where all these imaginary monies are kept on a ledger on computers all over the world. It takes a lot of, because it has to be kept on ledgers all over the world. That means it takes a lot of electricity to keep these ledgers available to be checked and searched. Right. So cryptocurrency it's nothing, but it burns a lot of energy to watch this imaginary money. And by the way, for those who don't understand what I'm saying, not to worry, Trump doesn't either. And cryptocurrency is not real money. Okay. Now, how do they want to turn cryptocurrency into real money? They have an idea. They have an idea, folks. You know, a lot of people would tell you the dollar isn't real money because for every dollar, there isn't a piece of gold that it backs. And I've always thought that was silly to say a piece of gold has a certain dollar value. Why did I think that was always silly? Because you can't eat a dollar. You can't do anything with a dollar. It's just a temporary storage of money. And why should a piece of gold have more be used as a temporary storage? Why not just use a group of blessed rocks? We could also say these are blessed rocks, and these blessed rocks back the dollar. No different than saying gold backs the dollar because gold is a scarce resource. All right. What really makes sense is exactly how the United States does it. And that is the dollar is backed by the faith in the powerful United States of America. That's what makes a dollar because it has the backing of all of us, we, the people of the United States, that is controlled by us, we, the people, our government. Well, it's not really our government. It's indirectly through the Treasury. There's a whole lot of stuff on that, but we don't have to go into that technicality right now. But having Trump into the administration now, what do they want to do? Here's what they want to do, people. They want the government to guarantee cryptocurrency by buying the government, United States government, your tax dollars invested in several $1 billion worth of cryptocurrency. And what that does is it finally gives cryptocurrency the backing that it doesn't have. It's no longer just a computer algorithm. The cryptocurrency created by the private sector that's based on nothing. In other words, Trump got $6 billion from doing absolutely nothing, no work, nothing, nada. Just saying, I've got a cryptocurrency and it's worth $6 billion. That's all it is. And when I tell you that's all it is, folks, I am not lying to you. You can look it up. It has no value. It just has a value that people want to pay for the Melania and the Trump. That's how they got another $6 billion. And now that he's president, he wants to have the government invest in a certain backing store for that cryptocurrency. In other words, you will now be able to trade nothing for dollars. Nothing for dollars. It's the biggest theft, the tax scheme of your tax dollars. And we have elected the president that's going to take your tax dollars. And if Congress is silly enough to follow, turn your tax dollars into cryptocurrency so that those guys who are in the crypto market can go ahead and say, hey, I want to exchange. Trump can now say, I'm going to exchange my $6 billion worth of cryptocurrency into real dollars, and I become a billionaire from doing absolutely nothing. When I talk to you all about the rich and the wealthy having access to all these instruments where they make money not by doing anything, but on your backs, people say, oh, but we're a capitalist country. You are so un-American. No, I am very American. What is un-American is to be a thief. Well, that is exactly what cryptocurrency is all about. Is it a scam? Of course it's a scam. Of course it's a scam. It's always a scam waiting for the next sucker to pay a little bit more for. So I can do all kind of illegal transactions in cryptocurrency, exchange cryptocurrency for cocaine, exchange it, and then the next buyer of the next iteration of that cryptocurrency that I sell gets turned immediately into money. We abstract the evil. We abstract the selling of cocaine. We abstract the selling of dope. We abstract the theft. And after we've abstracted that theft and turned it into cryptocurrency, we exchange it with the United States government, who now says, I can give you dollars. You get it? Of course, you could also do it with the suckers who buy the next iteration of cryptocurrency. I would never believe I would live to see a day where the American population has been made so gullible to allow these things to occur and to have elected somebody who will continue to do this until the house of cards fall. And then we have to bail out all these thugs once again, like we bail them out. You know, we give hell to the petty thief, to that guy that goes into the 7-Eleven and steals a piece of gum. We give hell to that piece of person who does all these different things. But the real thugs in this country are those people who come up with these financial scams. Absolutely so. The real thugs in the country are the ones who come up with the financial scams. You know, Rudnin says, Egberto, Trump is an agent of chaos. What would you expect? I agree. Bergen Greek says, how can you understand the American theft of native lands and then say theft is un-American? I understand that, but it's all context. I am an American. I didn't steal the land, and most people didn't steal the land. I tell you what, if you want to call in and talk about that, Stagan, call in and make your piece. I mean, I think you should have that right to put it in your own words. I'm not going to try to do it, but I can't disagree with what you've just said at all. But that's not what I meant when I said it was un-American. Let's see. Magner is calling in. Brother Patrick, talk to me.
Taking notes.
Whoop, let me turn off that AI is taking notes.
If you bring up crypto, I'm going to
say that
call.
again.
I said, I'm going to call if you bring up crypto.
Oh my God, I should have known that, shouldn't I? Anyway, talk to me, brother.
Okay, so I was thinking about the crash in the market yesterday in the tech sector because of the competitor for ChatGPT.
AI in ChatGPT, yeah.
Yeah. So then I'm starting to think, okay, so that at the same time that they jumped ahead of us, they crippled our development here because $1 trillion dropped out of the tech industry.
Yeah, I know. Oh God, I didn't even think about that. You're absolutely right, Patrick.
Now let's think about this. Now, what if they're working on quantum computers and they're ahead of us, and they beat us to the match or beat us to a very good quantum computer, and we have attached our treasury to cryptocurrency, and they quadruple what our CPUs can do. What is that going to do to the value of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies?
Exactly.
Because the value is the difficulty in solving these equations. So if we have a competitive economy that can quadruple the production that will destroy our treasury, destroy the dollar, and we will be done. And somebody brought up the 2000.
Wait, Patrick, stop for a second, because you went above most people's heads right there. Okay. I think people have to understand that crypto is an imaginary currency that comes from doing computational mining, not like mining gold, but computational mining to find numbers that fit a particular criteria. And as you find more, it gets scarcer and scarcer, but numbers are infinite. So you'll always find them in the future, right? But it takes a lot of power to find them. And what Magner is trying to tell us, Brother Patrick is trying to tell us, is if they have developed a quantum computer faster than ours, they will monopolize on finding those numerical tokens faster than we can. And if they're generating more money than we have, they would be it would be like turning our dollar into crap. Continue, my brother.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody brought up the 2008 crash just a little bit ago. There are a lot of economists that say if we go through another 2008 type crash, that there is no getting back out of it. That we have spent all the resources that we would have to get back out of something like that again. We can't do that again. It was either 40 or 60 trillion dollars disappeared. If
actually again, 72 trillion. I have a special coming out. I already have it done. It's already on my website, but I'm going to release it on YouTube Live. It's $72 trillion.
That's like 4 years of our gross domestic product just disappearing. That we won't be able to handle that. So we need to. Can
I interrupt one more time? Sorry, Patrick. I need to interrupt one more time.
Yes, please do.
And here's what I want to say. Under the paradigm of capitalism as we run it today, that is true, right? Under a different model, it isn't. And let me explain what I mean. This is what I've been trying to explain. And I thought I tried to write it in my book, How to Make America Utopia, but I don't think I really have a chapter the way I really want to put it. Our paradigm, okay, let's say we have a crash tomorrow, right? Physically. In other words, in production, in material, in all these things, what has changed? Absolutely nothing. Right? Nothing has changed. All the factories are still there. All the farms are still there. Everything is still there. The only thing that's messed up is how we interchange between all these different factions. How does money and capital how do we actually exchange capital, money, services, etc.? Everything is there. Nothing changed other than the means of exchange. One of the reasons after 2000, go ahead. You wanted to interrupt. Go ahead.
No. That wasn't me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Now, here is the difference. Tom says he can hardly hear me on YouTube. Anybody else has that problem? Please let me know. Here is the problem here, the difference, my brother. In 2008, when the system locked up, one of the problems with the system lockup was that deadly embrace. And folks, follow me here real quickly. All these securities were insured, or a lot of these securities were insured. So a lot of these tech titans thought when this crash came, they were protected. But they are such dummies that they didn't realize if you have insurance company A, insurance company B, insurance company B, insurance C, insurance company C, insuring D, and then D insures A, that's a deadly embrace, because if A fails, it's going to B for compensation, B is going to C for compensation, C to D, and then D goes to A. But guess what? A has failed. That was the deadly embrace that then caused the government to just inflate the money, right? They just created money to unlock this system. Here's the problem. The biggest fear they had was this was the opportunity for the Bernie Sanders of the world to say new paradigm. This was a time to create a new paradigm, and we didn't do it. Continue, Patrick. Please continue.
Well, my question would be, if we had the treasure failed,
mm-hmm.
and it could fail if we attach to crypto, or
yes, it will.
Or if economic warfare against us is successful enough, either one of those will drive the dollar to a point where it's just not going to buy anything.
Exactly.
Well, then that means the very instrument that we use to bail ourselves out will become worthless.
Exactly. And that's why I talk about a paradigm change, because remember, again, the dollar is just a means of exchange, right? And because we have a sovereign dollar, unlike, let's say, these countries that don't, which have debt, we can have infinite debt as long as people have faith in us, right? But the bottom line is this, Patrick, and I am hoping that we have economists like Richard Wolff and others. I know Richard Wolff is, but I wish other economists who are hooked into the system are starting to look for the other paradigm, because these irresponsible Western bankers, and this doesn't only involve the United States. This is Great Britain. This is the Dutch. This is the French. This is the Germans. These are all of them on a model that is not sustainable and a model that doesn't work. And, I don't know. I hope we have other economists that are coming up with the plan for when this house of cards fall. Because look, Trump is worth $10 billion overnight, man. I mean, $6 billion overnight. Think about that, Patrick.
Yeah, that money coming into they'll get upset if a president, quote unquote, prints money to get children out of poverty. But
exactly.
If a billionaire will print money for his own bank account, we should be happy for him.
Anyway, Patrick, anything else, Patrick, before I go to the last video?
No, go ahead. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, my brother. All right. Anyway, folks, let's go to the last video. Which one did I play the last time? I can't remember. Did I play? I don't think I played I don't think I still didn't play the one for the MAGA caller, did I? Let's go ahead. Answer. What was the last video I played, guys? Anybody remember? I'm so excited into what we're doing. I can't remember the last video. Throw it in the chat. Which one did I play the last time? I think I played This Is How Sound Problem was mine. Okay, great. I think I played the video about Trump and the pandemic, right? So let me go ahead and play this video about okay, let's go ahead and play this video of the caller who called in. Let's go ahead and play that one. I think that's the one that I'm missing. Sorry, guys. Sometimes I get excited and lose my train of thought. Here we go. This morning on my Politics Done Right morning show, after all the technical problems that we had a great show. But there's one caller that touched me, and it was a short call. And let me tell you why it touched me. Because of this. I think this caller was a right-winger, likely a Trump supporter, but and he called believing that he was going to castigate me, likely as maybe an elitist progressive who just thought I just understood or I wanted to dictate what should be right for other people. That is he didn't quite say that, but the tonality and the direction of his statement led me to believe that. So what I want to do before I further the narrative, I want you to listen to the conversation and then let's take it on the other side, because there's a lot that I want to see. And I want to, a part of what I want to talk about is I want to commend the caller, and I'll explain why on the other side. All right, let's go to Jim. Come on in, Jim.
Am I on?
Yes, sir.
Hello. All right. Good morning, Egberto. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, brother Jim.
Okay. Earlier this morning, you said, most people don't know their best interest. We got to make them see what their best interest is. And I did say that. I don't think you understand is that many people have different interests and not all of our interests are the same. I
agree.
Okay. And our vote, we vote for,
I agree.
Our votes depend on what our separate interests and what we need or want, if Democrats.
Sir, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. I think maybe you misunderstood and maybe I wasn't clear in what I meant by making some people know their interests. It is never going to be your interest to inject a bacteria into your body, and it will never be in my interest to inject a bacteria into my body. We all have common interests, irrespective of our ideologies, irrespective of our prejudices, etc. Won't you agree with that, sir?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And those are the interests I'm talking about. I'm not talking about ideological interests like religion. I'm not talking about any of that. I really don't care about any of those things. What I do care about is humanity and the things that make you and I, the commonality between you and me. So if you heard anything other than that, I hope I've corrected myself.
Okay.
Is there anything else, sir?
Yeah, nah, I'm good, man. But thank you for calling me, and I hope you have a good day.
You have a wonderful day, sir. Now, it was clear to me, experiencing all the calls that I get, within the first sentence, I can tell, even if they try to cloak what they're going to say, whether the caller that I'm getting is from the right, the left, or from whatever direction, I can usually get that at the first time. And this guy was coming to give me a piece of his mind, because he thought that I would represent an absolute defense of everything that is that I think that I likely believe the right fails at, which is not the case at all. I have a friend that I've always told, a friend on the right, is anytime he comes up with a good idea on the right, I'll steal it, make it progressive, and turn it into my idea. It's a joke, but I mean, that is where I'm going with this. So when he started to talk, I mean, I understood where he was going. That there are certain things that he just thinks differently. And I explained this all of the times. First of all, I think he shocked him that I agreed with him that that not because I think it's best for me, he may think it's best for himself, right? Like I believe in a large enough government so that no corporation can overpower a government. That is my belief. I think having large corporations, private entities that have no guidance from the people or have no loyalty to the people should never be larger than government. I don't think any corporation should. But there are people in America who believe that they would like these private entities to have all the power, no regulations, and do as they please. Is that right or wrong? No, that is preference. I prefer a government with we the people. Other people may prefer a government where there's a whole lot of independent companies that run the show, in effect, a whole bunch of independent countries, if you will. But I don't. And how do we resolve those issues in the United States of America? We vote. And when we vote, we decide what it is. We had a caller once tell me, if I don't like America, leave. To which I said, hell no. If I don't like America, I'm going to try to build the resources and the people and the popularity to change it into what we want it to be. There's nothing that says intrinsically America has to stay static. In fact, if America stayed static, I still would be in chains. But I digress. We don't have to agree on things that are neither wrong or right. Big government, small government, that's debatable. What's not debatable is putting carcinogens into my body. What isn't debatable is throwing a whole lot of sulfur dioxide and nitric acids, etc., nitric fumes into the atmosphere that affects all of us and sickens all of us. That is not up for debate. What's not up for debate is giving us poisonous food or not having the regulations to prevent corporations from sticking you with poisonous food and poisonous vegetables or giving you products that harm. Those things are not debatable. So when when Jim says I can't know what's best for him, I can't know what's best for him with regards to a religion. I can't know what's best for him with small government or big government. I can't know what's best for him with how he wants to treat his wife or how he's going to treat his kids. But I do know what's best for him with regards to poisoning himself, with regards to sickening himself, with regards to him having policies that invariably hurts somebody. And when we can reach that commonality and separate that which divides the things that are common to all of us, where your freedom affects mine, and the things that we can say, well, that's your business. You do it your way. I'll do it my way. So when I talk about helping others understand your best interests, I am talking about telling the truth, not allowing liars to have them make bad decisions that then affects both themselves and ourselves. And that is what the Trump administration is patently doing right now. And that is having a lot of people believe that things are good for them that aren't. In other words, they think they're voting in their own interests, but there are a lot of things that they're voting for that is against their interests if they really realized what the liar in chief, the thug in chief was really doing. So thank you, Jim, first of all, for actually having the conversation. In other words, you speak, I get a chance to speak, you get a chance to answer, etc., and understand where we are in commonality. I think that's important. And for all my MAGA listeners here, we have a lot of them, all my MAGA listeners, my right-wing listeners, take a page out of Jim's book. Don't just parrot stuff and open your mind to say, I didn't understand it that way, instead of always trying to be absolutely right. If somebody on the right tells me something that I find, I've got to change my opinion, I have no problem doing so, because a real honest, a moral person is someone who can say, I've been enlightened, I've been educated, and I will move on that which educated me. Again, thank you, Jim. Yep, thank you, Jim. Anyway, folks, let's see. Joy M became the newest member of the PDR Posse on YouTube. Thank you so kindly, Joy M. Thank you so kindly for being here, and I hope that you'll share what we're doing. It's very important. I also want to put Brother Rudnin's stuff on the screen, which says the following. Oops, let me go ahead and get this right. Come on, Egberto, que lo que te pasa, mano. Let me move that over off the screen. It says, this is from Maxwell Alejandro Frost. I love that guy. He's young, a Gen Z, who is making waves in Congress. President Trump has halted federal funding for our communities to cater to his billionaire friends, cutting off critical services for families and driving up costs across the board. Meanwhile, the House GOP is cheering him on. It's a golden age for the richest, but a dark age for working people. I want to remind my MAGA audience, not my wealthy MAGA audience, but my MAGA audience that's regular average American citizen. If you want to know where most of government help goes to, it is to red states and it's to people on the right. It's important for you to understand this. Red states are the poorest states. Red states are the sicker states. Red states are the less educated states. And because of that, more resources always go to them from the federal government. In other words, California, Connecticut, New York, and all these red states are supporting you. Don't forget it. So before you dog all these states, remember that a lot of your support is coming from where? It's coming directly from the blue states. All right, folks, it is time for me to put out my ask. And I'd like to ask all of you here to consider becoming supporters of Politics Done Right. You can become, the easiest way that I'm asking folks to support is becoming a part of our newsletter. And how can you be a paid subscriber of our newsletter? You simply go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I placed it in the chat. Now, here's the thing, folks. This is what, let me go ahead and put on the what it looks like on the website version of the newsletter where we have all our stuff. This is what the page looks like, right? You get all the stories that I write. I write anywhere from 2 to 5 stories a day. And I send out a 1 or 2. If there's a busy day, I'll send out 3. Bridge MCP, thank you so kindly for the super chat. She says, the KKK, aka MAGA, will be very, very sorry very, very soon. Very much so. Those who subscribe, become paid subscribers of our newsletter. This particular area becomes available. You see where I click on books, my books, and you get to access all 5 of my books free of charge for becoming a paid subscribers of our newsletter. All our books are available to you free of charge, and you also get full access. You get full access to our, what again? You get full access to the podcast. All these podcasts for both our early show and this show, we put up full video, not the little video you get on the screen, but the full video. You get a chance to see it in the podcast section of this newsletter. And again, you get a whole lot of other benefits that I can't go into here right now, but please consider being a supporter of our site by going to, again, politicsandright.com/newsletter, or if you're already on Substack, egberto.substack.com. I am pretty sure you'll see that the amount of work that we do to keep not only the program going, 2 shows on air and online, again, on air, Pacifica Network, KPFT 90.1 FM, as well as online, every single network, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all of them, we're there. And we put a lot of work into writing articles that are printed in magazines, in the newspaper, and elsewhere. And, we've written for Common Dreams and many others as well. So please, again, support us however you can. And I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. I love you all. Thank you all for being here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what?
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.